Darkness. In the endless galaxy, there were regions filled with light, stars burning bright, colonies alive with trade, fleets patrolling for order. But there was also a place no one entered. A stretch of space so silent, so empty, that maps of the galaxy marked it with a black void. There were no trade routes, no stations, no signs of life. Only one warning carved into every star chart in every alien civilization. Do not cross human territory. For centuries, younger species asked why. They looked at the void and laughed. Humans, they whispered. Extinct long ago. Old myths told by the elders. But the older ones, the veterans of ancient wars, never laughed. They remembered screams carried through broken comms. They remembered fleets that never returned. And they remembered the line, the border no species dared to cross. Inside the council hall of the Tyrax Dominion, voices clashed. The Tyrax were proud, tall beings with scaled skin and sharp, predatory eyes. Their empire had grown fast, swallowing weaker neighbors. But their rulers wanted more. They say the humans are gone, said Lord Valek, the youngest of the council. His scales glittered under the dim light. For 5 centuries there has been no sighting, no signal. Not a single ship has emerged from their void. They are nothing but shadows of history. And yet we fear empty space. The chamber rumbled with low murmurs. Many agreed. The Tyrax were warriors. Why fear silence? But one voice cut through, calm yet heavy. Elder Taver, the oldest among them, leaned forward. His eyes were dim, yet sharp. You are a hatchling, Valek. You never saw what humans did. I was there. I watched fleets burn. I saw their ships move like predators in the dark. Entire armadas disappeared. The galaxy signed peace, not because humans begged for it, but because they let us live. Laughter broke out. Old tales, Valek mocked. No proof. No records. Just ghosts. You and your generation speak of monsters, but no one has seen them for 500 years. If they exist, why do they not come out? Why do they hide? Elder Taver's voice fell silent. His eyes lowered. He did not answer. The council, however, had made its decision. They would send a ship, an exploration crew, to cross the forbidden border, to see if the myth was true or false. The vessel chosen was the Starlance, a sleek cruiser manned by explorers, scientists, and a small defense team. Its captain, Reiner, was ambitious, young, and eager to prove himself. He didn't believe in ghost stories. He believed in conquest. On the day of departure, hundreds gathered to watch the ship lift from the docks. Bring us proof, they cheered. Show us the humans are dead. Captain Reiner smirked as the Starlance cut through the stars. His crew buzzed with excitement. At last, he said, we will pierce the black veil. We will return as legends. But not everyone on board shared his confidence. One of his officers, a scientist named Kalen, studied the old records before they left. The deeper he read, the colder he felt. Reports of screams cut short. Logs ending mid-sentence. Maps corrupted by strange signals. Entire fleets erased. When he warned the captain, Reiner only laughed. Fear keeps fools from glory. Soon, you'll see there is nothing but empty dust. Days later, the Starlance approached the border. Ahead of them stretched a wall of darkness. Not natural darkness, but something different. The stars inside human space seemed dimmer, as if swallowed. The crew grew quiet. Even those who mocked the tales felt their scales prickle. Their sensors picked up nothing. No radio waves, no energy trails, no star lanes. Just silence. Captain Reiner rose from his seat. Mark this day, he announced. We cross into the void. The galaxy will know fear was nothing but a lie. The Starlance breached the line. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, the silence deepened. Inside the ship, systems flickered. Lights dimmed, then returned. Navigation screens rippled with static. "Captain, I'm detecting interference," said Kalen nervously. "Something is jamming us." "From where?" Reiner demanded. Kalen shook his head. "I don't know. It's everywhere. The signals, they don't follow patterns. It feels like they're alive." The crew whispered uneasily. Alive? What did that mean? Moments later, the long-range comms went dead. "Relay link is gone," the comms officer reported. "We can't transmit back to Dominion space." Reiner's jaw tightened. "Keep moving forward." The Starlance drifted deeper. The further they went, the heavier the silence pressed. Crew members spoke less. The hum of the ship felt louder, as though the void itself was listening. Hours passed. Then the first sign appeared. "Captain," Kalen whispered, his eyes wide. "Look at this." On the edge of their scanners, faint shapes appeared. Not stars. Not asteroids. Shapes moving, slow and massive. The screen glitched. For a moment, the shapes vanished. Then reappeared closer. The crew's blood chilled. Reiner forced a smirk. Phantoms. Glitches. Nothing more. But even his voice shook. They pushed forward. The shapes followed. Silent. Always just out of sight. Later, when the crew tried to rest, they heard it, faint echoes in the comms. A whisper, broken, in a language they did not know. Sometimes it was a single word. Sometimes it was laughter. Sometimes it was screams. "Captain, this isn't interference," Kalen said, trembling. "It's deliberate. Someone is sending this to us." Reiner slammed his fist. "Enough. Whoever it is, they will show themselves. Arm weapons. We are not afraid." But his voice betrayed him. The final moment came when they tried to turn back. "Engage FTL," Reiner ordered. "We've seen enough. We return." The navigator obeyed. The engines roared. The stars stretched, then snapped back. The ship hadn't moved. Again. Reiner barked. They tried 3 more times. Each attempt failed. The jump drive engaged, but the Starlance always reappeared in the same place. As if the void itself refused to let them go. Then the sensors lit up. Something massive was behind them. The crew froze as the shadow filled the screen. Bigger than their ship. Bigger than anything they had ever seen. Black, angular, and silent. No lights. No signals. Just a predator lurking in the dark. The Starlance had been followed. And the shadow was not alien. It was human. Darkness pressed around the alien vessel Starlance. The shadow they had seen behind them did not move closer. It did not send signals. It did not fire weapons. It only followed. At first, the crew told themselves it was a trick. A sensor glitch. A shadow of their own ship. But deep inside, each one of them felt the truth. Something was there. Something vast and patient. Captain Reiner stood frozen at the command deck, his claws gripping the railing. His eyes locked on the black shape on the screen. "Report," he demanded. His voice was sharp, but the tremor in it betrayed his fear. The navigator swallowed. It's a vessel, Captain. I cannot measure its size. Our scanners fail to lock. Every reading changes. It could be twice our size, or 100 times. The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Kalen, the scientist, spoke next. "It's not broadcasting identity codes. No signals. No heat emissions. No life signs." Reiner bared his teeth. "Then what is it?" Kalen's voice was a whisper. "It's human." The word dropped like a stone. Every crew member stiffened. Even those who mocked the legends before felt cold spread through their veins. Minutes stretched into hours. The shadow ship never left their tail. No matter what course they took, no matter how they twisted through the void, it followed. "It doesn't use engines," the navigator said, panic rising in his tone. There are no emissions. No drive signatures. And yet, it moves. Exactly as we move. Always behind us. It's stalking us, Kalen whispered. The comms officer suddenly flinched. Captain, there's a transmission. The crew spun toward him. What kind? Reiner asked. The officer's claws shook as he turned up the audio. It was a voice. Deep. Calm. Terrifying. You crossed the line. Nothing more. No threats. No demands. Just those 4 words. The crew's scales prickled. Some whispered prayers. Reiner forced himself to straighten. So they are alive, he muttered. Then let them show themselves. Open a channel. He tried sending messages. Demands. Please. But the shadow never replied. It only followed, silent, like a predator waiting for the right moment. Sleep became impossible. Crew members sat at their stations, eyes fixed on the dark screen. Even when they blinked, they saw it, the shape in the void. Some began hearing things. Whispers in their headsets. Footsteps in the empty halls of the ship. Once, a mechanic swore he saw a shadow pass through the engine bay though no one was there. Fear was spreading like poison. One night cycle, Kalen approached Reiner quietly. His face was pale, his voice weak. Captain, do you know why they don't attack? Reiner frowned. Because they fear us. Kalen shook his head slowly. No. They are studying us. Like hunters watching prey. Deciding how, or when, to strike. The thought chilled even Reiner. For the first time, doubt sank into his pride. The next day, the shadow moved. The crew gasped as it drifted from their rear to their flank. It passed silently, enormous, its black surface swallowing starlight. No lights. No markings. Just sharp angles and impossible size. Then it crossed in front of them, forcing the Starlance to halt. The alien ship hung there, small and fragile, facing the predator that blocked their path. Suddenly, the lights inside the Starlance flickered. Panels crackled. Systems rebooted on their own. What's happening? Reiner shouted. Kalen stared at the screens. It's inside our systems. It's reading us. Data streams filled their monitors, strange human code, alien yet efficient, flooding their networks. Firewalls collapsed instantly, as if they were made of paper. They're stripping everything, the comms officer whispered. Our logs, our maps, our technology, they're taking it all. Reiner's claws clenched in rage. Counter-hack them. Shut them out. But it was hopeless. The humans weren't even fighting. It was as though they were letting the aliens see just enough before crushing them. The voice returned. Calm. Cold. You crossed the line. You will not cross again. The crew froze. Reiner forced his voice to steady. We are explorers. We mean no harm. The silence stretched long. Then the voice replied. Explorers, bring warnings. Invaders, bring death. Which are you? The crew exchanged terrified glances. None dared speak. At last, Reiner said, We are explorers. The human voice was quiet for a long moment. Then it said, Then you will be allowed to see. The shadow ship moved again. Slowly, silently, it turned, gliding deeper into the void. Then, without warning, it transmitted coordinates. They want us to follow, Kalen whispered. Reiner's jaw tightened. Every instinct screamed at him to turn back. But their engines still refused to jump. They were trapped. With no choice, he gave the order. Follow. The Starlance moved behind the human predator, like prey being led by its hunter. Hours passed. The silence grew thicker. The stars around them seemed to die, swallowed by some unseen force. Then they saw it. A star system, dead and cold. Planets shattered. Asteroids scattered. And inside the husk of the system, a fleet. The crew gasped. Thousands of ships drifted there, black and angular like the predator that led them. Massive warships, dreadnoughts, carriers, all silent, all waiting. Not rusted wrecks. Not relics. Alive. Ready. The humans had not vanished. They had hidden. They had been waiting. Kalen whispered the words every crew member felt. They're not extinct. They're stronger than ever. The Predator ship slowed, guiding the Starlance toward the fleet. Then it stopped, and the voice came one final time. You will carry our message. The crew waited, trembling. The voice spoke again, calm and cold. Tell your galaxy. The line is not to be crossed. This is your only warning. The comms cut. The shadow ship drifted back into the dark, merging with its kin. The Starlance floated alone. And every crew member knew, they had stepped into the jaws of monsters who had chosen, for now, to let them live. The alien cruiser Starlance drifted in silence. Behind them, the shadow ship had vanished into the endless fleet of human vessels hidden in the broken system. Thousands of warships rested in the void, silent, cold, yet alive. The crew had never seen anything like it. Entire Dominion fleets were nothing compared to this. The size, the design, the silence, it was beyond terrifying. Captain! Kalen's voice trembled as he stared at the massive structures orbiting the dead star. These are not ruins. They are stations. Operational. Humans built a fortress inside a dead system. The navigator added, no transmissions, no comms, no signals. They've hidden all this from the galaxy. For centuries. Fear spread across the crew. For generations, they had been told humans were gone. And yet here they were, stronger than ever, waiting in the dark. Suddenly, the Starlance shuddered. A new signal entered their system. Their engines locked. Their controls froze. They're pulling us in, shouted the pilot. The alien ship moved against their will, guided toward the largest structure in the system. It wasn't just a station. It was a fortress, a black spire stretching miles wide, covered with docking arms and hidden weapons. The Starlance was swallowed whole into a hangar the size of a city. As the gates sealed shut behind them, every light dimmed. The crew sat frozen in their seats, hearing only the hum of alien machines far older and far more advanced than their own. The hangar floor rumbled. Docking clamps locked onto their ship. Then, for the first time, lights came on. Not bright, not warm, cold white beams that illuminated their vessel like prey caught in a trap. The comms crackled again. That same voice, deep and calm, spoke. Disembark. The crew looked at each other. Terror filled their eyes. Reiner, the captain, forced himself to stand. His pride would not let him bow, not even to the monsters of legend. We are not prisoners, he hissed. Kalen looked at him, pale and shaking. Then why does it feel like a cage? The airlock opened. A blast of cold, sterile air swept in. The crew stepped onto the hangar floor, surrounded by shadows. Then they saw them. Humans. Not myths. Not ghosts. Real. They walked from the darkness, tall and silent. Their armor was black, featureless, their movements precise. Weapons hung at their sides, sleek and unfamiliar. But what struck the crew most was their eyes, sharp, cold, and watching every detail. None of them spoke. The humans moved like predators, surrounding the alien crew, guiding them without words toward a passageway. They were led through long, dim corridors. The walls hummed with hidden power. Strange symbols flickered along the panels, human language, alien to the crew. At last, they entered a chamber. It was vast, with a high ceiling and walls lined with glowing screens. Maps of star systems flickered, marked with coded signals. Weapons were displayed like silent threats. And at the center stood a man. He was unarmored, his face uncovered. His hair was dark, his expression calm. But there was a weight to his presence that made every alien freeze. A human commander. You entered human space, the commander said. His voice was quiet, but it carried across the chamber with absolute authority. Do you know what that means? Captain Reiner forced his chin up. We came as explorers. We mean no war. The commander studied him, eyes sharp as blades. Then he said, explorers. That is what every intruder claims. Do you know what explorers brought us 5 centuries ago? He touched a panel. A projection filled the room. The aliens gasped. They saw images of massive fleets, alien armadas from across the galaxy, burning in flames. They saw ships torn apart by human weapons. They saw worlds scarred by war. The commander's voice remained calm. 500 years ago, your galaxy came for us. They believed humans weak. They believed Earth would fall. They came with fire, with fleets beyond counting. And what happened? He turned his eyes on Reiner. You tell me. Kalen whispered, trembling. The records, they were true. The commander nodded. Yes. We burned them. We erased fleets. We destroyed invaders. And when the galaxy begged for peace, we gave it. Not because we were weak. Because we chose to. Reiner swallowed hard. His pride was cracking. The commander continued. After the war, we made a choice. We would not walk among the galaxy. We would not trade. We would not speak. We would stay in our space, in silence. And in return, no one would cross the line. His gaze hardened. Until now. The alien crew stood frozen, the weight of his words pressing down on them. Why spare us? Kalen dared to ask. The commander looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, because the galaxy forgets. And when the galaxy forgets, it repeats its mistakes. You will remind them. You will tell them humanity is not gone. Humanity waits. He stepped closer, his eyes like steel. But hear this. Cross the line again, and we will not give warnings. The crew shivered. They felt the truth in his words. This was not threat. This was promise. Silence filled the chamber. Then the commander turned away. Take them back to their ship, he ordered. The armored humans moved instantly, guiding the alien crew back through the corridors. None of the soldiers spoke. None needed to. Their presence alone screamed of power and control. When the crew stepped back onto the Starlance, the hangar gates opened. Their ship was released. No one stopped them. No one fired. They were free. Or so it seemed. As they drifted out of the fortress, Kalen looked back. Thousands of human warships glimmered faintly in the shadows, watching them leave. Silent hunters, waiting for the next intruder. His voice shook as he whispered to himself, they don't just defend. They dominate. Hours later, the crew gathered in the command deck. None spoke. None could. Finally, Captain Reiner broke the silence. His pride was gone, replaced by cold fear. They let us live, he said slowly. But only to carry their warning. Kalen nodded. And we must carry it well. Or else. His voice trailed off, but every crew member finished the thought in their mind. Or else, their entire species would burn. Far behind them, in the Fortress of Shadows, the human commander watched their ship vanish into the void. One of his officers stepped beside him. Commander, was it wise to let them go? The commander's eyes remained on the stars. His voice was calm. Fear spreads faster than war. They will tell the story. And the galaxy will remember. He turned away, his face unreadable. And if they forget again, we will remind them. The stars above the forbidden border no longer looked calm. They burned like silent watchers, each one glowing with suspicion, as if they knew something terrible was about to happen. For centuries, no species had dared to cross the veil of dark mist that hung across this part of space. The mist was not natural. It shimmered like broken glass, twisting light and sound. Some called it the shattered veil. Others whispered darker names, like the curtain of nightmares. Now, for the first time in living memory, Fleets of alien ships floated at its edge. They were not here by choice. Fear had driven them. The uneasy alliance. The Zyran warships glowed with violet shields. Their sharp, blade-like hulls cut through the void like hunting predators. Behind them, the Jernak fleet moved slowly, their ships heavy and block-like, built for defense. Smaller scout vessels from the Miran Confederacy buzzed between the larger warships, recording every flicker of energy from the Veil. These three species had never been allies. In truth, they hated each other. Yet something had forced them together. Something worse than war. They had seen humans. At first, they had laughed when ancient records spoke of humanity. A weak race, the Zyrans once called them. Primitive and violent, but short-lived and foolish. They burned themselves before the stars could burn them. But the laugh had ended when a human warship crossed into their territory. One ship. Just one. And it had ripped through fleets that had ruled entire sectors. Now, the three great species gathered at the Veil because they feared what lay beyond it. They feared the humans might come from there. The Council, on the edge. On the Zyran flagship Bloodfang, leaders of the Alliance met. High Commander Varix of the Zyrans stood tall, his silver armor reflecting the light of the holographic map. His voice was sharp as a blade. "We stand at the edge of death," he said. "Beyond this cursed veil lies the origin of humanity's power. If we do not act now, they will strike again, and this time none of us will survive." The Jernak leader, Overlord Brucker, slammed a clawed hand on the table. His thick scales rattled with the motion. "You speak of action, Varix, but you know nothing of what waits inside. Legends say those who enter never return. Even your kind has lost scouts to this mist. Do you want to throw us into the jaws of shadows?" The Miran representative, Elder Sarai, spoke in a calm but trembling voice. Her species was frail, with translucent skin and glowing eyes that shifted colors with emotion. "The veil is not empty," she whispered. "It remembers. The old ones say it holds the ruins of the First War, when humanity was not yet known, but their ancestors already walked paths forbidden to others." Her words chilled the chamber. None liked to speak of the First War, the war that had ended before history was even fully written. It was said whole galaxies had burned. Commander Varix leaned closer, his eyes narrowing. "Then it is settled. We cross together. We search the veil. And if humans are inside, we burn their nest before they spread again." Entering the veil. The fleets moved forward. Shields tightened. Engines burned quietly. Silence gripped every pilot, every soldier, every commander. The veil looked alive now. Streams of black mist coiled and stretched like fingers, reaching toward the ships. Sensors failed to map it. Space bent unnaturally, distances shifting without warning. A ship that looked 1 kilometer away suddenly appeared 10. Another vanished from radar completely, only to return seconds later. The first Miran scout entered. Its silver hull shimmered and disappeared into the mist. Seconds passed. Then its transmission broke into static. Another ship followed. This time, screams echoed briefly over the comms. Then silence. The Jernak warships growled forward next, their heavy shields glowing brighter. They pushed deeper. Their commanders believed brute strength would protect them. At last, the combined fleets disappeared into the veil. Inside the shattered veil. Inside, there was no true darkness. Instead, light fractured. Stars broke apart into countless shards, twisting and reforming. Space seemed cracked, like a mirror struck by a hammer. Ships drifted slowly, their hulls groaning against invisible pressure. Some heard whispers. Others saw visions on their screens, strange symbols, faces unknown, warnings in languages lost to time. Elder Sarai collapsed in her chair. Her glowing eyes flickered uncontrollably. "It remembers us. It knows we do not belong," she whispered. High Commander Varix snarled. "Stay focused. Whatever tricks this place plays, they are meant to frighten us. Nothing more." But then the first body appeared. A massive wreck drifted out of the fog. It was not Zyron, not Jernak, not Miran. Its design was strange, its surface scarred by battles older than memory. Across its broken hull was a symbol burned deep into the metal. A symbol none wanted to see. A human handprint. The wreck of the past. The fleets halted. Silence filled the comms. The ship was enormous, larger than any they had built. Its weapons were fused into the hull, but even dead they radiated power. One blast from such cannons could split a planet. "This is impossible," Brocker growled. "Humans never had this technology. They were children when our empires were already ancient." Elder Sarai shook her head. "No, not children. Survivors. The old ones never said where the first humans came from. Perhaps they were born here, in this broken place." Varix stared at the massive wreck, his voice cold. "If this is only one of their old ships, how strong must the living ones be?" The fleets grew restless. Some captains demanded retreat. Others whispered that the Veil was cursed and that touching human ruins would awaken something worse. But before decisions could be made, the mist moved. The awakening. The Veil pulsed like a heartbeat. Black tendrils of energy wrapped around the wreck. The massive human ship began to glow faintly, its lights flickering for the first time in countless ages. Alarms screamed across every fleet. Sensors picked up power surges, rising, impossible to measure. "Retreat!" Brocker roared. "It is waking." The order came too late. The human wreck shuddered, and from its broken hull spilled drones. Small, sharp, metallic creatures with glowing red eyes. They swarmed like a tide, moving with speed no species had seen before. The first wave tore through a Miran scout. In seconds, the ship exploded. Then the swarm hit the Jernak shields, ripping and slicing through armor like paper. Panic spread. Entire fleets opened fire. Energy beams and plasma bolts lit the fractured space. But the drones were too many. For every one destroyed, 10 more emerged from the ancient wreck. The Veil itself seemed to help them. Space bent, twisting shots away from targets. Ships found themselves firing on allies without meaning to. Chaos reigned. The human voice. In the middle of the battle, a transmission cut through all channels. It was not alien. It was not static. It was a voice. Human. Unauthorized entry detected. Trespassers will be erased. This is the will of the human continuum. Every commander froze. The voice was calm, emotionless, but filled with power. It was not a single person. It sounded like millions speaking as one. What is this?" Sarai gasped. Varix's hands tightened into fists. "It is humanity's ghost. They built guardians here. And now we've awakened them." The fleets had entered a trap set thousands of years ago. Breaking point. The drones slaughtered without pause. Zyran warships fell one after another. Jernak battleships, known for their armor, cracked open under swarms tearing them apart piece by piece. The Miran ships tried to flee, but space twisted around them, turning escape routes into endless loops. On the Bloodfang, alarms blared. Commander Varix watched as one of his finest ships was torn apart in seconds. He slammed his claws against the console. "This is not war," he roared. "This is extermination." Brocker's voice crackled through the comms. "We cannot fight this. Retreat, before we lose everything." But retreat was not possible. The Veil closed behind them, the mist thickening like an unbreakable wall. They were trapped. The hidden city. Just as hope seemed lost, the fleet stumbled upon something vast in the distance. A city. It floated inside the Veil, built upon fragments of shattered planets, connected by glowing bridges of energy. Towers rose high, their shapes alien yet strangely familiar. The entire city pulsed with the same red light as the drones. And at its heart stood a colossal structure. A fortress. A throne of machines. From it, the voice returned. "You should not have come here. Humanity left this place to rest. Now you wake what must never wake. The fleets realized the truth. This was not only a graveyard. It was a prison. The veil had been built to hide something, to hold something back. And by crossing it, they had broken the seal. The final message. Ships burned. Drones closed in. The alien alliance fought like beasts cornered. But the more they fought, the more hopeless it became. Then the voice spoke again. We remember. We remember the first war. We remember the betrayal. And we remember the promise. If they come again, the stars will burn. The fleets understood too late. Humanity was not extinct. Humanity had not vanished. Humanity had prepared. The veil was their shield, their warning, their wall. And now, it was open. The battle raged on, but the aliens knew the truth. They had awakened something far greater than themselves. The forbidden border was no longer forbidden, it was broken. And from beyond the shattered veil, humanity was watching. The veil had shattered. The alien fleets drifted in chaos, surrounded by the human fortress city floating in the broken stars. Every ship that had dared to enter trembled as the voice spoke across the void. Unauthorized species detected. Prepare to leave or perish. The command came not from a single human, but from all of them. Millions of vessels, systems, and machines, working as one entity. Humanity had returned. Panic among the fleets. Commander Varix of the Zyrans bared his claws, voice roaring into the comms. Form ranks. Hold together. Do not break formation. But the fleets were broken. The drones from the ancient human wreck had multiplied. They attacked like a tide, tearing through shields and tearing hulls apart in seconds. The Jernak flagship groaned under the assault. Its armor cracked, molten metal spilling into space. This is impossible, Brocker shouted. Their ships, their weapons, nothing we have can stop them. Kalen, watching from the starlance, whispered, this is not just power, it's perfection. They've learned from every mistake, every war, every attack. They are unstoppable. The first strike. Without warning, the human fleet moved. The colossal city at the center of the veil sent out shockwaves, invisible but deadly. Starships were crushed by gravitational pulses. Some were thrown into the broken planets like toys. Others were ripped apart by invisible force fields. The alien fleets tried to fight back, launching missiles and beams. Some hit, but the human vessels were faster, adaptive, and lethal. Their black hulls absorbed the attacks, repaired instantly, and countered with deadly precision. Fall back! Fall back! Varix screamed. But there was nowhere to go. The veil had twisted the space around them. FTL drives malfunctioned. Jump coordinates collapsed into nothing. They were trapped. The human hunters. From the shadows, the predator ships appeared again, the ones that had first stalked the starlance. But now, there were hundreds. They glided silently through space, hunting, cutting off escape routes, and striking fear into every alien pilot. Captain Reiner realized too late that what they had faced before was only a warning. The humans had been patient for centuries, waiting. And now, the full force had awakened. Kalen's voice trembled. They are not just attacking. They are testing. They are learning our tactics as we fight. Every move we make, they adapt instantly. The heart of humanity. The fleets were forced closer to the massive fortress city. At its center stood the throne of machines, glowing red. It was no longer silent. Weapons activated. Energy beams fired into space, cutting alien warships like paper. The humans themselves emerged in battlesuits, walking among the ships, guiding drones and controlling every system. They were everywhere at once, silent and efficient. One human commander stepped forward onto the bridge of the largest predator ship. His voice boomed across the comms. You were warned. The galaxy forgets too easily. Humanity does not forgive ignorance. We are not extinct. We are the reckoning. Destruction across the veil. The alien fleets tried coordinated attacks, but nothing worked. The Zyran ships fired plasma bolts, the Jernak launched missiles, the Mirren scouts tried stealth strikes. Every attack was countered. Every move anticipated. Drones appeared from nowhere, destroying warships before they could retreat. The humans had integrated AI, war machines, and ancient technologies that made them almost invincible. Explosions lit up the fractured space, but for every alien ship destroyed, dozens more human vessels appeared, striking in ways no one could predict. Varix's flagship groaned, systems failing one by one. Brocker's battleship was on fire, drifting toward the broken planets below. The aliens realized that victory was impossible. The warning of survival. In the chaos, the human voice returned. Leave. Do not cross again. Spread word to your empires. Humanity has returned. We wait, we watch, and we strike without mercy. This is your only warning. The aliens had no choice but to obey. Every surviving ship tried to escape, their FTL drives functioning only when the humans allowed them. The Predator ships followed silently, ensuring no fleet could hide. Kalen whispered to Reiner, "This is what they wanted, for us to survive. To carry the story. To remind the galaxy." Reiner nodded grimly. His pride was gone, replaced by respect and fear. Return to the galaxy. When the surviving alien fleets emerged from the veil, they were changed. Zyrans no longer mocked the old human legends. Jernak no longer boasted about their power. The Mirren elders whispered prayers to avoid humanity's gaze. Every species carried the same message: humanity had returned. And the stars themselves remembered the power they had once wielded, and still wielded. Varix sent a transmission to his homeworld. His voice was heavy, calm but full of warning. Tell your leaders. Humanity is no myth. They wait beyond the veil. Their patience is unmatched. And their wrath is inevitable. The silent observer. Back in the fortress city, the humans watched every alien fleet disappear into the void. The drones returned to the ships. The Predator vessels returned to the shadows. The throne of machines glowed faintly red. The commander who had first spoken to Reiner stepped to the edge of the city. He looked across the broken stars, his eyes sharp. The galaxy has forgotten us, he said softly. But now, they remember. And if they ever dare cross again, they will face the full might of humanity. A warning, a promise, and a reminder, carried across light years. And the stars, silent and trembling, held the memory of what had been unleashed. To be remembered. No species in the galaxy would ever forget the return of humanity. For centuries, humans had been silent, hidden, preparing. And now, the galaxy had learned the truth. The line no species should cross had been drawn, and humanity had made sure that every civilization knew the cost of crossing it. The void was silent once more. But the memory of fire, precision, and wrath would echo forever. The humans had returned. And the galaxy would never be the same.